Today we're going to be doing intermediate. I'm going to show you traditional grip and I'm going to show you this is Clayton Skinner. Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Beat. Hello again. This is Clayton Skinner. In this episode of Beyond the Beat, I'm going to teach you how to do a 16th note hi-hat groove. So far now we have done 8th note drum grooves and quarter note drum grooves. Just simply meaning that you're playing 8th notes or you're playing quarter notes on the hi-hat while you're doing your thing with the snare and the bass drum. In this series we're going to learn how to play 16th notes on our hi-hat while doing our thing with the snare and the bass drum. This episode specifically I'm going to be focusing on what previous episodes I described as just 8th note drum grooves, where you're just kind of playing 8th notes. You're only playing on the 8th notes with your bass drum and your snare, but we're also going to be maintaining the 16th notes on the hi-hat. I know it's confusing, but if you look at the PDFs and you watch the demonstrations, you will begin to understand it. So let's begin. Exercise A on the PDF, we're just simply going to be putting 16th notes all the way through the bar on your hi-hat. So this is a pretty easy exercise. You may want to just take an opportunity to just kind of count this out and play along with it. You can just watch the demonstration and count along with it as I play it. The technique that I'm going to be using is the molar pumping motion. That produces the best sound. You really want that kind of up and down sound when you're playing these grooves, because the style of music actually kind of requires that. You can play like a very monotoned ta-ta-ta-ta-ta sound if you want, but it will probably work better with the pump. If you don't know how to do a pump, the molar pump, go and check out the molar pump. If I don't have a video up now, I will eventually, so check it out. Exercise B, we're going to be adding the snare to 2 and 4. So take your time with this. You'll have to kind of really understand how this pattern sounds, and once you get it down, it's really not a big deal. But you may want to take just that extra little bit of time to really make sure that you're understanding and allowing the proper amount of 16th notes to be played while you between each of the snare hits. So check out this demo. C, kind of same advice. C, I'm adding the bass drums to 1 and 3. No snare drum this time. So just try to really maintain the proper amount of 16th notes between the 1 and 3. So check out the demo on this, and then, on to lesson 1, or exercise 1. Now that you're done with B and C, we're going to put them together. So exercise 1 has the bass drum on 1 and 3 and the snare drum on 2 and 4. So this is kind of your first 16th note on a hi-hat full-on beat. Give this one a try. Really get to know the pattern. And if you get to know the pattern on this, you should have no problems getting to know the patterns on all the other exercises. So listen to this demo. B2, I added a bass drum on the and of 3. So it goes bass drum on 1, bass drum on 3, and the and of 3, snare on 2 and 4. So listen to the demo and try to play along with this. So beat 3, I've added the bass drum to the and of 2. So you have it where it usually is, 1 and 3, but then I also put it on the and of 2. Snare drum on 2 and 4. So the bass drum would go 1, 2, and 3, 4. The demo will probably describe it better, so here it is. The bass drums on number 4 are on 1 and 3 and. Snare drum on 2 and 4. So really make sure that you place these bass drum hits exactly where they're supposed to be. So just listen to the demo. All right. So the bass drum on beat 5 is on 1, the end of 2, 3, and the end of 4. So this kind of forms a loop that isn't the same when you actually start the bar over again. So pay attention to the demo and really spend some time on this one because this one can get tricky. In beat 6, where we're going to really start getting down to the nitty-gritty. So, there is no beat 3, or there's no bass drum on beat 3 in this. You have the bass drum on 1, the end of 2, and the end of 3. So, really pay attention to the demo on this one. This one can get kind of tricky. So really take your time with this, and I'll see you on the next one. Beat 7 is similar to beat 6. The only difference is that I've added a bass drum on the end of 1. So again, remember, there's no bass drum on 3. You're kind of used to having a bass drum on 3. If you got to note 6, this one should be no problem. See you at 8. In beat 8, we're going to have bass drum on 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the snare drum, as always, is going to be on 2 and 4. So just make sure that everything lines up properly when you're hitting your hi-hat, snare, and bass drum at the same time. You should have no problem with this one. So you might have found this video or these lessons to be a bit easy. I assure you this is kind of just the first step in what's going to become quite an ass kicker. Some of these can get really, really tricky, especially when you start adding bass drum to it. Anyway, if you do have problems with it, or if you're having problems with this, or you're having problems with anything else, just go back to the other videos involving eighth notes or quarter notes on the hi-hat. They can really help you figure out how to line everything up. So again, make sure that you practice this a lot because it's going to get a lot more difficult as we go on. So just make sure that you're prepared. I'm warning you now. So, I'll see you in those videos. Well, that's all for this episode. Make sure you keep checking back to ClaytonSkinner.com for more updates as well as more videos. And I hope to see you there.